Welcome to the Blasting Couch. This is our second episode. We're going to be posting this on YouTube for sure. We're not sure about other places. We'll figure that out. But right now we have Zach Harrison. He owns Phantom Concepts.
Happy to be here. Excited to be here.
All right. So you started working with us a few months ago?
Yeah, it was like October, I think. So like 5 months ago.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah. Are you allowed to say who you work for?
We'll just keep it vague. It's,
Okay.
Global company.
All right. So essentially I had no idea. I didn't realize that you knew what you knew, if that makes any sense. Yeah. So as you started working here, it kind of slowly started dawning on me that there's some knowledge there that I just wasn't aware of.
Right.
And long story short, you do EDC style just from your job. It's like the main thing you guys focus on. It's all from concealed. Mm-hmm. It's all pistol, handgun stuff. There's no rifle or anything like that. And before I used to, like every time we went out shooting, it was just like full kit, plate carrier, chest rig, rifle, pistol. And although that is fun, it's not realistic.
Right.
And since I started hanging out with you and Forrest, our other guy, our main loader, EDC started becoming more relevant to me. Even though I've always carried a gun, I carried a gun, but I never trained from like concealment. I just was kind of in the dark about a lot of it. So you guys shed some light on that entire topic for me. You guys hosted a class, maybe, I don't know, a couple months ago or something. And I was just there doing media. And it was just kind of an eye opener for me. And just listening in on some of that stuff, it just opened my eyes. So,
yeah, I mean, the way I've always looked at it is the outside the waistband stuff is cool. Getting reps in on that is cool for being ready for Thursday night steel or shooting USPSA matches, or unless you're a cop and you carry on your hip outside on a duty rig every day, it just doesn't apply to the everyday dude like you and I, or 99% of the people that come into our shop. So just my curriculum is, a major focus on, like you said, the concealed side of things, and not just like how to respond to an incident, but how to identify threats before they happen and just avoid them. Because like the biggest thing you can do as an everyday dude is avoid getting into a use of force shooting, because what comes after that is not fun. And anybody can attest to that who's been in a use of force shooting, whether they're LE or a civilian, like they can attest that it's not fun after that.
Yeah. So yes, I agree. Everyone always just wants to, like every morning, right? They're just like cell phone, wallet, gun, keys, right? And that used to be me as well. I never really carried a handheld flashlight, and sitting in on that class gave me, like, it made me appreciate how much a flashlight could be used before you have to resort to your gun. And the reality is you can't just, if there's we all want to be polite. That's something that you guys kept saying, right? So you don't want to go straight to there, but if you have that moment of, what do you call it? Just like you're trying to process if this is actually a threat or not.
Right. We like to call it a litmus test, right? If you can pull out your handheld flashlight and you see something that, it's at nighttime, you're walking along on the street and you just flash somebody with the flashlight, it's like zero consequence. You're just like, whoa, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, like I'm just walking my dog. Oh, all right, cool. Like you can put your flashlight away, you can walk away. You pull out your gun, you say, what are you doing? Like that's, brandishing. There's consequences to that, to pulling out your gun and pointing at somebody, or you might unnecessarily escalate a situation that didn't need to be escalated by pulling out your gun versus a flashlight. Like it's just a flashlight, and not just in like a like self-defense or environment or situations. But if you need to have like extra light to search for something, you can't just pull out your gun and use your weapon light. It blows my mind. There's people out there that carry a pistol with a weapon light every day and don't have a handheld light.
That used to be me.
Right? Like you got the Gucci gun, you got the Gucci light. It's sweet. It looks great on Instagram. It's in your pants. You carry it every day, but you don't have a handheld light other than like your phone flashlight, which is a great tool for like searching around in your car. But when it comes to like, you need to see something far away and identify if it's a threat or not. You can't use your phone. Your phone's not going to work great for that.
Yeah. I've heard that argument a lot. Like, oh, there's a flashlight on your phone, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's great for looking for the, something you drop between the seats or under the seat. But other than that, it's.
Yeah. Which flashlight do you carry?
I carry a mod light with the OKW head. I like to it's got a real tight beam. So for like a self-defense situation, you can really, if you blast that in someone's face, like they're going to they're going to wince at it. No one's going to be able to work through that. And if they're trying to work through it to still get at you, that kind of identifies their intent at that point. It helps you with your decision-making. I was like, okay, this guy means me harm because he's fighting through my light to get to me. He's not just wincing and saying, yo, what's your problem? Like trying to get away. So that's what's cool about it. And then
it's almost like a little test. Like, okay, if you're still approaching when you got a flashlight beaming in your eyeballs,
right,
it might be time for you to transition to your gun.
That's not normal human behavior.
Right.
So, I mean, that's what probably 65% of the curriculum is just talking about human behavior. Because with self-defense stuff, like it's dealing with other people, and people are pretty predictable. We're pretty primitive in our brains. Like it's still a very primitive construct. And what it does to drive our behaviors is it's very measurable and very identifiable. So that's kind of what the curriculum goes into, is like, how do humans work? How do we think? What drives our intentions? What drives what we want to do? And that not only helps us with identifying threat behavior, but if you're carry a gun every day, say you carry a gun to work and your workplace doesn't allow guns, understanding like the little cues that humans do when they're carrying something they're not supposed to have can help you better carry in a non-permissive environment, so you're not giving off those cues.
Right.
Just that's kind of the gist of it, basically.
Yeah. So your class is, I've sat through a couple of them, and I feel like most people in our kind of little community, they don't think they want the reps and the sub-second draw and shoot and all that. And your class is not as sexy as far as all that. You get more into the like the human behavior, like the analysis part of things. So and like I feel like that might turn some people off, because it's like,
it's not as cool.
It's not as cool. It doesn't look good on Instagram. And
our methodology. So the way we look at it, right? Everybody's on a timeline. Time doesn't stop. We're on a timeline. Somewhere on that timeline, there might be an incident. We don't know when it's going to happen. We don't know when in the future it's going to happen. We don't know if in the future it's going to happen. All we know right now is that we are prior. Right now, we're prior to something happening. So things we can do right now is get training, right? Like that helps us build time and helps us build preparedness for when that situation occurs. Rather than building trying to shave a half a second off that draw rep, because that draw rep is coming at the point of friction, which we're already at a disadvantage because we don't get to pick when that happens.
Right.
The attacker picks when that happens. Right. So as a responsible carrying citizen who's trying to protect yourself or your family, you don't get to pick the day when it's time to draw. And at the same time too, like it's kind of unrealistic with the shaving your time off, because there's a beep coming. Mm-hmm. When you get attacked, you don't know when attack is coming if you don't know how to recognize those things, which is what we try to do. We want to build the time before the draw stroke. We want to add a few extra seconds of like your observation abilities. Like, hey, that guy, he doesn't fit into the crowd, or that guy's doing certain behaviors that, I'm just going to avoid that altogether, not get near that guy. I'm going to take my family in a different direction, or I'm going to keep an extra eye on that person in case something happens, or maybe I'm going to report them to security, or maybe if they're doing something so egregious, I need to call the police. So like building up as much time prior to something happening and trying to avoid that is kind of our goal, basically. And then from there, the other 40% of the curriculum is something happened, you couldn't avoid it, and you have to respond. So doing the force on force stuff, it's not as sexy. It sucks. It hurts your ego. That's the biggest thing that I found getting into it like 6 years ago was the people that I worked with, they're all dudes that are former law enforcement, decades of experience, but still struggle in the force on force situations. Because all their time's on the flat range. Most everybody's time's on the flat range. Military, law enforcement, even everyday citizens. But once you start like adding friction and opposing things, you realize this holster sucks because I try and draw it and the whole thing comes out. Or I started backing up and I tripped over my feet and I fell on the ground. I didn't know what to do after that.
Right.
Like, those are the things that come out when you add a little bit of friction with force on force and the Airsoft or UTM.
Yeah. I didn't think I would enjoy the Airsoft portion as much as I did. It's gone a long way. Like they're literally replicas of what you carry.
They are. And we were totally against it for years. Like we were UTM only because it's, it's got, you get a pain reaction from it when you get shot, and it's got recoil impulse. So it's realistic. It's same magazine reloads, but now like forcing us to get into Airsoft because of the whole situation with UTM.
Well, what do you think about that? We were at SHOT Show and it looks like it's kind of hurting a lot of people.
Yeah,
like the whole UTM thing.
It sucks. Like it's going to take away training opportunities from a lot of people. Awesome training opportunities. Cause the best training I've ever received was under UTM, but it is what it is. We gotta push past it and make do. So that's kind of where we're at with the Airsoft now. But initial thoughts, initial reactions is it's, we get recoil impulse out of it. We can still work recoil. We can still work reload mechanics. We can put red dots on them. And the pain response it's less than UTM, but it's still something. It's better than nothing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. What's your everyday carry gun?
So I guess it just depends on my mission. I like to kind of fit it for my mission. If it's the weekend and I'm chilling, right? It's just me and my wife. I'll just carry a 19 in a Tenacor holster. So the interesting thing about Tenacor, I took a class about 4 years ago under Craig Douglas, which is ShipWorks, and it's very heavy, like combatives, grappling with a weapon involved. And the dude who started Tenacor was in that class, and he was, he's a fighter. He does jujitsu, and he developed those holsters from like a fighting perspective. So that, they're comfortable. You can fight in them. And on top of that, you're not going to lose it when you try and draw. Right. And that really sold to me as like, a holster manufacturer is a dude who goes out here and he trains, he fights opposed, and he created that holster in the coals of the fire. I'm right. Like, that means a lot to me,
Yeah. There's a bunch of different holster manufacturers.
There are.
And I feel like, so holster making and a lube, I feel like is the lowest barrier to entry into like the industry. And nothing against people who make lube.
I've had a lot of bad holsters.
Right. And people who make holsters, but I feel like sometimes a lot of those people making holsters, they're just like, oh, this is how I get my foot. And they don't even want to make holsters, right? They're just like, this is how I get into the industry. And I mean, if you want to make holsters and like that's actually what you truly want to do, knock yourself out. But if you're just using it as a kind of like a stepping stone, like I just feel like there's a different way to go about it. Because I don't know, people do what you want, but to me, it's like that's why I'm very skeptical about a lot of holsters. I have 3 holsters. It's Safariland for duty. I don't think there's anything that comes close to it.
I've seen I took VCQB instructor where you're on the deck, you're rolling around, you're bashing off things. The Safariland's held up the best.
Yeah.
Other outside the waistband holsters would break, crack, lose your pistol, whatever. And the Safariland's held up the best. Yeah. They're duty proven at this point.
Right. And for EDC, I use A&R Design. Okay. They're at like New Hampshire or something. And for like competition style, it's Superstition holsters out of Mesa or something. But yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of holster companies, LAS. Yeah. But it's just There's, yeah, there's too many.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and everyday carry. So when it's not just me and my wife, and it's not casual, if I'm doing something for work, some type of job, I'll carry a compact size Walther PDP, and then spare 20 round mag, and not a spare mag because I feel like I'm gonna go through the contents of the first mag, because that's kind of, I feel like that's a little bit of a misconception about why people carry spare mags, but it's, if I have a malfunction, generally malfunctions are magazine related. So rather than fiddling with the magazine that's obviously not working, just putting a fresh one in, a new one in, and then working the problem with the new one. So that's kind of my premise with carrying a spare magazine is malfunction. You know, you take 1 shot, 2 shots, and that's not enough. You have a malfunction. Rather than dealing with that, just reload, put the fresh one in, and finish the problem with the second one.
Especially if you carry a staccato, you know, you need like 5 mags.
Yeah.
Those things fucking suck, dude.
$80 a pop, and they just
$100.
They don't do it. $100.
But yeah, you drop that thing once on the floor, and it gets a grain of dirt, and it just doesn't work anymore. And all the fanboys who spend all their money on staccatos, listen, I've got enough money in mags to where I can go buy 2 staccatos.
Yeah, I think Forrest is the same.
Right. So it's like, hey, I'm in the same boat, but it's just the truth, you know. I carry a Glock 19. My favorite Glock is a staccato.
Oh yeah.
No, so I carry like the staccatos for me are like it's like a play gun. Yeah. It's like your hot rod you take out for the weekend. That, you know, you're not driving that if you're headed out of state. Right. Like you're taking that for a cruise, you're going to be around, you know, you're coming back, you've got enough tools in the truck to fix it or whatever. But dude, they're like, you have to have a plastic gun, and that plastic gun for me is a Glock. That's what I carry. I carry a Glock 19 with an acro. Thank you, Tyler, for hooking it up. But yeah, like I just feel like there's 2 different, like, they both have their purpose. They do. I love my staccato. Like, I feel like it enhances my shooting ability. It's not going to make you a better shooter. It enhances my shooting ability. I use it for competition. For range day, it's like my duty gun, you know, like for outside the holster. But for EDC, something that I'm going to depend my life on, it's going to be a factory Glock with the factory spring.
And the factory magazine.
With the factory mag with a Overwatch precision trigger.
And the cool thing about the Overwatch triggers is they're enhanced factory triggers. Like, it's an OEM trigger with coatings and a better shoe.
Yep.
So like, you're not getting the issues that you might get with some of the other aftermarket triggers where it's totally their own thing. And then like I've seen, you know, on the range deck, tons of aftermarket triggers have problems, and it's not Glock's fault because it's the trigger.
Yeah, Overwatch
had a ton of luck with Overwatch.
Yeah,
triggers.
we don't have a plug with them or nothing. We buy from them, but it's the only trigger that I've never had a problem with aftermarket. Like Timney, dude, those things are trash. The Glock performance triggers, they're okay. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. After a while, I hear they kind of wear out or whatever, but supposedly they phased those out. They got a new version or something.
Yeah, not familiar enough with them, but
it's the Glock performance trigger is probably the best $70 trigger you can buy. You know, I'd spend extra money on the Overwatch precision. That's just me. The trigger geometry and the way it looks, the way it feels, it's just quality, and it's just a little bit better than the factory one, just enough to where like it's gonna help you get like better splits and stuff like that. Yeah, but yeah, all those crazy super light triggers, like that's just not for me. For a play gun all day long, but even prime example, and I think I've said this before, but we were at a competition and I just modified my gun a little too much and I shit the bed. Right. So I'm just, you know what, man, it's just factory. It is for me. I'm not going to be messing with that. So,
I mean, I feel like a lot of people modify their guns and then don't test them. Like, they start carrying like, this is cool. Like I'll just test it next time I'm at the range. I'll start carrying it now. But that's like a testament to why you need to test it. And not only that, but duty ammo, right? So why are you starting to sell, self-defense ammo in 100-round packs?
Yeah. So for those who don't know, we just started making our own hollow point. And we all shoot 147 grain ammo. That's what we train with. That's what we plink with. And that's what's in our mags, right?
5 years ago when I started this career after getting out of the Marines, grain weight didn't mean anything to me. So like, it's just a number on a box. Like I didn't know what it meant. So my mags were stuffed with a mix of the two for a while until we kind of started getting into the weeds about it. And it's like, all right, we're going to stick to 1 grain. We're going to train with that grain. We're going to 0 with that grain. We're going to carry that grain for 3 months. We're going to shoot all that out, make sure it works in our guns. And then we're going to replace it with new duty ammo. So if you're not recycling your duty ammo, you're doing yourself a disservice. And if you're not using it in your gun, you're doing yourself a disservice because you don't know what it's going to do.
Yeah, I agree. What would you say is the longest you should carry your ammo? Like your duty ammo?
It's expensive stuff. I guess it depends on your environment. For us in Arizona, it's a dry environment. I'd say 3 to 6 months is probably good, and then cycle it out.
Yeah, that's about how long it takes me. I mean, once that first round starts getting all tarnished and it just starts looking like crap and there's like magazine wear on the actual round itself, I'll discard that one. And then I'll put a new one at the very bottom of the mag and then I'll just load the rest in there. But yeah, you should be cycling through your ammo. You should not be carrying the same thing. What people don't realize is, temperature, humidity, just all those things factor, ballistic, speeds and all that, like pressures. So if you live somewhere where it's very, very hot and your ammo was loaded in, like, let's just say Connecticut, right? They're testing their ammo at their elevation, their temperature. Well, it's going to be a little bit slower over there. It's going to be a lot faster here because we're at like damn near sea level. It's typically hotter. There's less density in the air. So it's going to be traveling a little bit faster, right? So this is why we tell people that you should always test your ammo, especially with the rifle stuff, right? Like people the biggest mistake people make, and this has nothing to do with pistol, but the biggest mistake people make is they look at the box and they take the speed or the advertised numbers just as fact. And the thing is, you're probably not using a 24-inch proof barrel, right? You need to chrono your own ammo, or else that number doesn't mean anything. Your data's not going to match. So invest in a chrono. Refrain yourself from buying another fucking AR-15 or another pistol out of your 150. Buy what you want. All I'm saying is, if you got all these rifles and you don't have a chrono, a rangefinder, a bipod or a tripod, you're doing it wrong. But
learn how to use it too, right? Take a Sidewinder class, take anyone's long range class. Like I think the biggest thing that we're seeing is people don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Not to try and self-plug my own training thing, but same thing with the self-defense side, right? I mean, I don't need to teach classes. I teach classes because I am passionate about it. It's not something to pay my bills. It's not going to be fun money. It's a break-even point, really. But I have found over the last 6 years that there's a ton of things that I didn't know, and I think a lot of people don't know, that are really valuable. And same thing with like the long range stuff. I had never shot past 500 yards in the military. And then since getting out of the military, hadn't shot past 100 yards and hadn't been able to make hits past 100 yards until like 15 minutes. Forrest kind of talked to me about some of Adrian's content, some of Adrian's points from his class. And then 15 minutes later, I'm getting hits at 950.
Right.
Because like, I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know about the putting dopes into your optic, or how MRAD worked, or how you can use an app and it'll pull like scientific magic and tell you exactly what you need to do to your scope, and then you're dead nuts on target at 950. Yeah. Depending on what grain, and then same thing with like grain weights. Like 55 grain, it's good.
Yeah.
That's where I was at before. But now it's like, different mission sets, same thing with like SPRs. You might want to run a different type of ammo to get the maximum performance out of an SPR.
No, I agree. And I apologize. We're filming this at our shop. This is a working warehouse, so there's background noise. I'm sorry. But yes, so take a class. Classes are expensive. It's a big time investment. It's an investment for everyone, right? Like we have somebody flying from another state for a week, right? There's room, there's boarding, there's transportation, there's meals, pizza parties, you know what I mean? Rabbit holes fueled by vodka. But you can get all this information on YouTube. Like you really can, right? So if you actually want to learn, and the thing is, it's overwhelming, right? Like people, we get questions all the time and they just want the affirmation. They want like, I don't even know how to explain it, right? Like I can literally, like, if I don't know it, I'll just Google it and then I will just tell them exactly what Google says. And they could have looked at the same thing, but just the fact that like they asked us and we told them, now it's like gospel, right?
Right.
So, do yourself a service and try to do your own research a little bit before you, and then cross-reference that with everything else you hear,
Right.
A class is going to be much better, right? Because it's like studying with the teacher as opposed to studying by yourself. You're not sure if you're doing it right. You're not sure if that applies to you. So, just do a little bit of Googling, a little bit of searching. And then whenever you scrounge up the funds to take a class. People think that, $550 for a class is a lot of money. Yes, it is. The thing is like, nobody's getting rich off this stuff, right? Like our class, settings are typically very, very small. They're intimate. It's like 6 students to 3 people, right? So you have an instructor, you have 2 people helping the instructor. If you got a question, if you're falling behind, you're not with a group of 15 guys, right?
Right.
So your bang for buck is it's way better. And by the time we pay the instructor, by the time I pay 7 employees to get out there, we're not making any money. Like we purely do it because it's fun. We like having Adrian out here. We take pictures. It's just a good time all the way around. We get to use our ammo. It's freaking badass to see our ammo perform out of a 14.5 all the way out to essentially 1,000 yards.
Right.
So.
And another benefit that I found from taking a bunch of classes on my own is, it's expensive up front, but the networking, like the people you meet in class, the instructor, they become available to you after the fact. Right. Yeah. Like I've reached out to multiple instructors after I've taken a class and said, hey, what do you think? What are your thoughts about this? What are your thoughts about this? And they're always like quick to respond. Yeah, these are my thoughts. And like the learning has continued past the initial deposit of tuition for me. So that little fact in itself has been super beneficial.
We've taken quite a bit of classes and, for me, it's not even a money thing. It's more of a time thing, right? Like I have to stop doing the things that I have to get done to go, drive across town or to another state and then be out there for a day or two, for me to get 2% more than I already know type of thing,
And it can be kind of a gamble sometimes too.
Yeah.
When you don't, anybody can go teach whatever, pistol classes. I've taken bad classes. I've taken good classes. So you're kind of gambling a little bit with your time. It's like, is this going to be worth the $250 or $500, whatever it is? So it's, that's a big aspect of it too. You don't want to go out and waste your time, learn something you don't know, or end up taking a class that maybe was advertised at a higher level and ends up being something you already know, like a lower level class.
Yeah. That's happened to me before. And, it might seem like, oh, well, you guys are plugging this because of this. And it's like, no, the reason we're plugging a class is because we've already taken it and we stand by it and we think that there's value there. Like I said, we do not make money off classes.
No.
Like I would much rather be at home with my wife and my kids than at a fucking class. That's just me, right? Because I do this 5 days a week, right? So now I'm doing it another day. So When we do classes, it's a big time investment from everyone at the shop. And, if we promote it and we kind of advertise it, it's because we think it's worth it. Right. And it's the same thing with other people, right? Like everyone's at work all week. And then the weekend that they get to do stuff, it's like, okay, do I just enjoy the time with my family, or do I go spend $500 and 8 hours at this place?
Right.
We don't want to disappoint anyone. So we've taken stuff that we just won't push.
Are we gonna have more packages later?
Yep. We have things that we've taken classes that we just don't push. Right. So if we're advertising it, it's because we believe in it. We think that you're going to be happy with it. The last thing we want to do is take somebody's money who's going to somebody else that I'm barely even keeping, right? Because by the time I pay everybody makes money but me, right? So like, I don't want to be taking people's money and then them being disappointed. And then they're like, well, those guys put on a shit class. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I don't know. That's just kind of how we do things. Like if we're going to be slapping our name on something, we kind of want to vet it and make sure that it's worth it.
For sure.
So, and so far, the only two things we've done has been your class and the Sidewinder class.
Right.
So,
you try and diversify, get some more instructors out?
Not really. It's not something we're looking to do because it's very time consuming.
Right.
Right. And
the
like
gotta be
if we
there.
were making a killing off this stuff and it was worth, all the time and payroll and all that, like, yeah, sure. But it's not, right? Like classes would be $1,000 if that was the case. And the reality is most of the money goes to the instructor and any other money that's left over goes to payroll.
Yeah.
Securing, spots
So
or,
the content's got to be
right.
worth it.
Yeah. So, the only reason, we do the Sidewinder class is because bang for buck is there, right? Like you don't need to take another class. Once you learn everything, and if you leave that class understanding everything he taught you, you don't need to come back, right? You just need to go out and implement everything you just learned and then get the experience. With the EDC, that might be a little bit different because there's so many scenarios. I mean, we were out here on a weekend for like 6 hours.
It was 8 hour. I think it was 8 hours. Yeah,
8 hours.
8
Dude. It
hours.
felt like 2 hours,
Yeah.
right? And every scenario is just, man, like that's a mind fuck.
Right.
I would have done this. Oh, let's do it again. And then you think you know what you're going to do. And then it gets changed and you're like, that's a mind fuck. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's just like you can spend 8 hours and not put a dent on it. And, like there's so much literature. There's so many statistics. There's so many things you can learn from previous, scenarios, engagements and stuff. Something that kind of stuck with me is like, I always used to think cops were bitches for fucking shooting somebody at 25 yards with a knife. I'm like, if I was a cop, I probably wouldn't. Like, no, dude, try it. Give your buddy an airsoft gun, EDC it, and have him rush you at 25 yards with a knife. You're getting stabbed every single time.
I was thinking about this the other day too. When we did that in class, you knew he was about to come at you with a knife.
Right. And I still
In
got
the real world,
stabbed.
so like you had 25 yards, you knew he was coming at you with a knife and you still got stabbed. Imagine you don't know you're about to get stabbed.
You're fucked.
And then someone's coming at you from 25 yards. Like they say it's like a 3-second rule.
Right.
It takes 3 seconds for you to see it, interpret it, and react. So like 3 seconds, how far can you sprint in 3 seconds if you're really trying
and
to
your
get somebody?
reaction is not going to be it's probably going to be to flinch or move.
Yeah,
or,
it's like yeah, exactly. Your reaction is not going to be to go to your gun unless you've trained it before, unless you have like you've done force and force before, and you've trained it in your body. The appropriate response is that you need to go to gun.
Yeah.
If you don't train that, you don't build what we call file folders for that. You're just not going to do it in the real world.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just eye opening, man, and it changed. Like I leave my house sometimes, and I've said this before, but I would rather have my flashlight on me every single day than my gun.
You can take it on an airplane,
Right?
I mean,
like we went to Vegas, and we got into a little pickle there. We didn't have a gun, right? So if we had a flashlight, it might have escalated to something else, but we wouldn't have been so vulnerable, I think. Yeah, you can take it on an airplane. Like I went to Florida with my wife.
You actually can't check it because of the battery. Like you have to take it on the airplane.
Right. It's on you.
Yeah.
Right. It is on you. Like you can knock someone out with that thing. Right. So I was in Florida for about a week, and I was with the kids. Like we already got a stroller. We got literally a 9-month-old and a 3-year-old, and just like all this luggage and shit. I'm like, I do not want to carry another case with a gun that has to go through the check, and then like what happens if if there's a problem and we miss our flight. It's just like so I just chose not to take it. And we were down there. I mean, we were in a resort. It was pretty cool, but I was just like, damn, I wish I would have had my flashlight. Like, I don't think I missed my gun so much. It'd be nice to have, right? Nothing happened. But I mean, there was about 5 times where like, damn, I wish I had my flashlight. Right. Yeah. And I'm not saying, throw your gun in the trash and carry a flashlight. They're both equally important.
Right.
But if I could pick only one, it'd probably be my flashlight.
For sure.
Yeah. I just don't want a gun. But, if I could pick one, it'd be a flashlight.
And it's welcome in all establishments.
Yep.
Right. You can have it all the time, anywhere.
Yep.
Yeah. Can't beat it.
Yeah. I don't know. There was, what is it? The Ostrich Festival. It was like a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. In Chandler.
Yeah. And I mean, it's Chandler, right? I mean, Chandler can be nice, but it's, it just fucking brings all this riffraff from everywhere.
Right.
And we get there and it was like, there's more security there than a fucking airport. And, like no water bottles, no this. They're probably just doing that so they could sell you a $10 water or whatever. But I took 4 trips back to the truck. It was so annoying. All right, so we got the stroller, we got the kids, and then they're like, you pull up and they're like, hey, you can't bring a bag. It's got to be clear. We're like, okay. So you go, we take the bag back, and then we get past another little point, and they're like, hey, you can't have water bottles. We're like, we got fucking children. Like, they need water. Like, oh, you can buy some inside. We're like, okay, whatever. So I go put the water bottles back in the truck, and then we get to the metal detector part, and I'm just like, oh, okay, well, I guess I better go put my gun back. So I went and put my gun there, and then I get there, and then they're like, you're still going off, and they're like, whoa, what's that? And I'm like, it's a flashlight. And like, I was kind of being assholes to them, but I was just annoyed at that point, right? It's like, listen, man, the guy's like, well, we got to be safe. And I'm like, yeah, man, like we would all just be safe if you let everybody carry their gun. Well, I'm like, oh, so you don't trust people with a gun, but you want to have a gun, right? And they're like, yeah, no, we just think it's safer this way. And I'm like, it's not, because if anybody really wanted to shoot this place, you think they're coming through this fucking security? They're going to fucking shoot all you and then go in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then everybody else inside is a sheep. There's no, they're unarmed. And I was just like, those rules are dumb, but whatever. And yeah, I mean, there's some people in there that you'd probably be like, okay, cool. Like you're probably a slime bag, but
yeah, I'm gonna stay away from those types,
Yeah. So I don't know. I kind of cringe when I got to go to places like that, especially with my family. With me by myself, okay, something happens, I can run off, but trying to run with kids, a stroller and a wife, like that's just,
it adds logistics to the equation. And that's not something that we've drilled in Force on Force, but I'm sure you can imagine, like if we have 3 role players with you as like your family, you can imagine what that does to the situation.
Oh, I can't even. Everyone does this training and they just picture themselves alone,
right? Which is easy, but what are the chances?
Yeah,
you spend most of your free time with your family, like
right.
Yeah.
So. But what kind of stuff do you like to do outside of guns?
Boats, planes, anything that's...
You just got... Well, the reason you started working here is because you were trying to get some play money for your pilot's license, right?
Pick up a little extra here and there, help pay for flying. So mission accomplished. Now it's like, now it's kind of an opportunity to like drive the training. Not to pay my bills, obviously, but because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And, if I can do it and break even between time and logistics, then that'd be dope.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, for sure. You got a kid coming too?
Yeah. Kid on the way.
Nice.
October. So I'll be doing some Force on Force training with a stroller.
Yeah. With your $1,200 stroller.
Yeah.
That's always an eye opener for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Seems like most of our friends have kids, but yeah. I mean, we're all getting in the 30s, late 20s and 30s. And it just changes your perspective on a lot of things. Like I never once thought I'd be buying a $1,200 stroller, you know?
Right. Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an efficiency thing or a quality of life thing because it's got the like button. You just move it around. You know, I'm like, I'll just cough up the extra money for convenience.
Yeah, if you're paying, you know, $500 for a stroller, it's probably a pain in the ass to use.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to avoid the reality of it. You know. Now we're talking about strollers, reviews on strollers.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to get the ones that are like compatible with the car seat that you just clip into your truck. Like, dude, it's a pain in the ass. Like I was so terrified when I first had kids because like I run circles around motherfuckers, dude. Like I don't have the patience that I probably should have. Like I'll power walk Disneyland in fucking 3 hours and I'm done. Right. Yeah. So like I was just so used to being on the run, on the move, fast. And with the kids, it's just like we got to be somewhere at 11. Like let's start getting ready at 9, you know, because it takes just so much more time. And it's, you know, hop out of the truck and go grab something from the store. Like that is no longer a thing. Now everything is a full blown mission, you know.
That's going to be an adjustment for me.
Yeah.
I mean, me and my wife are always the same way, like punctual people. Be there at 9. I'll be there at 8:59. Like we're pre-planners, we're planners, you know. We just went to the San Diego Zoo, knocked it out, saw everything in one day, like had a mission, right? We're going to go, got the map out. Like this is the most efficient way to see every single animal. So, you know, we could go there, see it. Oh, cool. All right. Next one, move to the next one.
Right.
So that's going to be an adjustment for me because I'm the same way.
Yeah. We went to the San Diego Zoo like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Got a little Airbnb out there and we did SeaWorld and then the zoo. It was a good time.
California's another great place to bring your flashlight.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, we actually got a couple little scenarios there.
Yeah.
Little where we're just like, my wife needed to breastfeed our boy and the restaurant was just too loud. It was getting kind of late. We were sitting with like a large group of people. So she's just like, I'm going to go to the car and breastfeed. And she came back inside and she's just like, yeah, never mind. You know, there's like
people out there hanging around. Like,
there's like homeless dudes walking around and you know what I mean? Like she came out, like it was immediate eye contact and she's just like, yeah, fuck this. I'm going back inside. Yeah. So I had to go out there. And it's just like, okay, cool. Like we're using these, you know, so it's a homeless guy. Probably nothing happened, but you know, you just don't know. Flashlight probably deters somebody a lot.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
You get 1,000 or 100,000 candela to the eyeballs, man. Like
it does something.
It's moving. It's moving you no matter what.
We'll have to do a EDC defense at night with airsoft and flashlights. Yeah, because I've done a few, and like it makes a difference. Like doing force on force at nighttime, it's crazy because you see what like headlights do. Like right, when do use of force situations happen? Like at nighttime, right? So like having headlights in your face and you're trying to deal with somebody, but you can't see them and you have like a crap flashlight you bought at Harbor Freight. It's like 75 lumen and you're like trying to see them, but the light is overpowering. You realize like, I need a better flashlight. Right. Like you said, you were talking about how you never thought you'd buy a $300 flashlight. Yeah. Right. Never. But like, I will never buy a cheap flashlight ever again. Yeah. Because of that. Like I want as much light and as much power because as humans, we see light. Like we're not nocturnal creatures. We don't have good night vision unless we have good night vision, right? But I want as much light as I can get out of that flashlight because when I can have as much light, I can get information. When I get information, I can make better decisions.
Yeah. No, that's for sure. That is for sure. I have my feelings about Mod Light, but unfortunately they make the best or one of the higher end flashlights. Yep. So that's kind of what I went with. I give a Surefire a try, but I don't know. It's all the same. I guess. Surefire, Mod Light, Cloud probably would be the main 3 that I'd try to go for. Yep. If you can't afford any of that, carry something. It's better than nothing.
Streamlight's got some.
Yes, Streamlight.
They have some decent ones. Yep. I carried a handheld Streamlight for a long time. So if you're looking for a budget light, Streamlight still makes it pretty good. And I beat the crap out of that light.
Yeah, so I have a Streamlight that I use for like working on my truck. It's like a, I forget what it's called, but it's like rechargeable and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a straight hammer. Dropped it, never skipped a beat. It's rechargeable, and it's like $90.
Right.
It
can't beat
it. Yeah, it's
The bang for the buck.
Best bang for buck is definitely Streamlight.
Yeah.
For sure. So,
But if you can afford it,
yeah,
Mod Light, Mod Light or Cloud, like you said.
That's for sure. All right. Well, we need to make these about an hour. We're gonna start doing these a little bit more often. We're gonna start bringing just people we like to talk to. They may be experts in a certain field or something like that.
Yep.
We're doing this for fun. Once again, we don't have an agenda with this. So not every podcast is going to be like this. We might just be talking about random stuff that's not even related to guns. But quick word from our sponsors. Tier 3 sponsored this video. Check them out. Tier3actual.com. That's the homie. He's making them at night. He's got some pretty sweet t-shirts coming out. It's like the grilled cheese, the Shane Gillis little bit about the grilled cheeses.
Yeah.
We're gonna be filming that on Saturday, so that'll be dope. Are you going?
Yeah, I'll be out there. Yeah.
Sick, cool. All right, so EDC, not really walking around with nods. How do you feel about nods?
It's, to me, it is a low priority item for me.
Okay.
Because it's not, obviously, like you said, it's not an EDC item. It would be fun to get into. If I were a police officer, maybe on a full-time SWAT team, then I'd probably invest in a good pair. If I was still in the military, I'd obviously invest in good training with it. But in my position where I'm at, it's just not, I just don't see it as applicable, right? It's not something that I want to go out and drop 5 to 10K on, because it would be a hobby thing. Like you and Adrian talked about shooting long range and why you shoot unsuppressed long range. It's a for fun thing, right? You're not like training for whatever nightmare scenario when you go out and shoot long range. And I think the nods thing is kind of in the same realm for me, right? When or if or whatever that nightmare scenario happens, like I'd rather be the gray, like I'd rather blend in, right? That's kind of where, and then if I throw on kit and nods, like that's, might as well wear a uniform.
Yeah, now you're a target now.
Yeah, it's just a targeting thing. So like I see a lot more benefit, and I've seen it a lot with like my profession, because like blending in is always the thing, like trying to blend in, not skylighting yourself. That helps build up an advantage, especially like as an everyday carrier, trying to blend in, just wearing regular clothes, not because you give stuff away when you drive a car. It says like, we don't call 911 or protected by Glock. And then
that
you come
person's
out
probably gay. Yeah.
Right. You come back out from the grocery store and your window's broken. Like you asked for that. And like you're sending messages. So I like to stay more,
Yeah, I don't
low-key.
slap stickers on my truck like that.
Yeah.
That to me is an open invitation for somebody to break in your truck.
It is for sure.
Yeah.
It is for sure. Like I mean, we all like it. We're all proud of it. We want to show off like, yeah, staccato's cool and all, but like put it on your laptop. Don't put it on your truck. Or don't put it on your house, or, you're just asking for it.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it's the same thing with like shirts, right? Like I like subliminal shirts, right? It's like, if you know,
right.
It's not like a picture of a fucking AR-15 or something like that. That says like, come and take it or something like that.
Second Amendment.
Yeah. Like, I mean, yeah, I'm all for that, but like, it's just not something I want to advertise.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I do have shirts like that. A lot of people give us shirts, and like, we like repping the homies, but like, that's like, if I'm coming here, I'm going out on the weekend where I'm like going to be like with my family. Like, I don't want anyone to know that I'm carrying. I don't want anyone to know that might be like anything that might make me a target, right? Like, I might not even be aware, and like they might be taking a shot at me or something like that. You know what I mean? So,
it's like you can see people too. They carry the tactical backpacks with the molly and the patches. It's the same thing. Like, man, if you don't have an SBR in that backpack, you definitely have a pistol in your pants. Like, you're just, like
Yeah.
You're wearing
yeah.
511s. You got the like.
Yeah.
I can read that from you, and like I don't think it's not necessarily a threat behavior to me, but you might be painting a target on yourself because
Yeah, and I'm very much a like a live and let live kind of person. Like,
Yeah.
dude, if that's how you want to dress, and that's
For sure.
like, dude, knock yourself out.
just understand the consequences.
Right? Yeah,
the
like
potential
it
consequences.
comes with baggage for sure. For me, it's kind of cool. Like, oh, okay, cool. Like, if something does happen, maybe this guy might be a little bit more prepared than like the dude over here looking like a nerd or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I guess it's got its ups and downs. But as far as me, like this is as, Walmart pants with a black t-shirt is probably as tactical as you're going to see me. Unless we're going out to the range, obviously that's a whole different scenario, but
Yeah, I'm guilty of wearing cool pants,
yeah.
but I guess those are now associated with carrying a gun. I didn't know that until recently. I've seen some memes on
Yeah,
Instagram.
like I thought that was like a hunting brand.
Yeah, it's like a hunting hiking brand, and
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, they're super functional
Yeah.
and fitting. Like I used to wear jeans a lot, but like jeans are just not as functional or comfortable as like a good pair of like cool pants or whatever.
The older I get, the less I wear jeans. I used to be like a Wrangler kind of guy, like
Yeah.
just because work and welding and stuff. Like I have 8-year-old Wranglers that like they're faded, but they're still there, like they work. And I don't know, they're just not as comfortable for carrying a gun. And when I was like working the pipeline, you're not really carrying a gun on you or on the truck. But yeah, so the older I've gotten, the less I've been steering away from that. And now I'm wearing like, fabrics with that like stretch and breathe a little bit more. And it helps with carrying, I like the Condor pants. They're like $30. I get them from E-Bike, sponsor us E-Bike. And they have like mag pockets and stuff like that. And they're $30, dude. Like can't go to McDonald's and spend $30 anymore.
No,
you know what I mean? So for me, like I've had these for a year. Like if I can get a year out of a $30 pair of pants, like I'm happy.
No, yeah, that's not bad.
And I have what are the Cole?
Cool.
Yeah. I have a set of those, but they're just like too short.
Yeah.
Like they're like $140. And I mean, they're brand name and I'm sure they're better material and they'll probably outlast my $30 pants, but they just don't fit as well, my body type. So, but yeah.
But night vision, where were we going with that?
I was just wondering, like everyone always wants to get night vision, like
It's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
I'm not against it. It's just
right.
Like I said, low priority. Maybe I'll get a pair one day, but it's not something that's, I'd rather have a good carry gun, or I'd rather spend the money on training, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think once you kind of check all your boxes, right? Like I think it's like a good step to get into. Like, hey, if you can afford it and 10 grand is nothing to you, buy it.
It's fun.
As long as you're gonna use it, If you're buying nods and it's more of like there's people that like to just see all the shit in their safe. Right.
Yeah.
Like it's more of like they feel proud of themselves type of thing, which is cool. There's collectors out there. I used to be that way. Like I used to just walk in my safe and be like, oh man, I've got 50 something guns. Like, man, I'm such a pimp, Now it's like, I got an EDC pistol. I got a duty pistol. I got an 18-inch and I got an 11.5.
Yeah.
And a PCC, I guess. So I got 5 guns. I can have whatever I want. That's all I have. Right. They all have their role. They all serve their purpose. They all have an optic. They all have a light. They all have a laser. They all have a sling. When I see people with 40 guns and they don't own a single sling, one rifle has a light, it's just like you're grabbing this gun from the case, setting it on your tailgate, you're shooting at a piece of steel or trash, and then you're putting it back, taking some pictures, and then you're going home.
Yep.
That's not where I'm at. That's where I used to be, but that's not where I'm at now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've got a 13.7. I got a short PDW style rifle. Hoping to get into a PCC soon, and then a couple of carry pistols, and that's it. All I'm trying to keep everything same caliber. So my carry pistols are all 9mm. My rifles are all 5.56.
Yep.
So
what PCC are you leaning
B&T,
towards?
B&T. You guys convinced me.
I used to hate B&T. I thought they were too expensive. I thought they were like just all made out of plastic and cheap. But there is something to be said about Swiss engineering.
Yeah,
they got it right.
And the suppressors are impressive too.
They are, and people don't know this, but they are the largest suppressor manufacturer in the world. They make over 600 different cans. They have something for you. We've got like 6 or 7 cans coming from them sometime this week. For those people that don't know, cans are extremely hard to get nowadays. Like everything's on back order. I feel like it's a orchestrated, just squeeze. I hear suppressor prices are going up. Right. Like there's a demand now because Form 4s are getting approved in very short periods of time. So if you're looking for a can, buy it. There is a price increase coming. Wait times are slower or faster than ever.
How are the price points on those B&T cans? Pretty reasonable, right?
I mean, they're cheaper than a Surefire. You know, they're like depends on what model you get. They're between $600 and $900. Okay. Depending on what you get. They make so many different cans, but the ones that I would consider are in that range.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I've been wanting to get into PCC world and something for the backpack.
Yep.
You know, something to take, if I have a job I need to go on, or depending if I'm going somewhere where I feel like I need to have a little extra, with the increase in like active shooters in public places, it can't hurt to have something in your backpack for the extra, that 50-yard shot, right? Like you're limiting liability by having something where you can make, more accurate shots if you need to. I want to put that in there. If you need to, like you shouldn't be going out trying to be. I never advocate for anybody trying to go out and be a hero, John Wick, like go to the sound of chaos, right? Like my advocacy is always protect yourself and your own, right? Yeah. Get the hell out of there, right? Like don't try and be a hero.
No, I agree, man. I agree. All right, well, let's get this wrapped up. It's been about an hour. Thank you for coming.
Yeah. Thank
you for coming to work and we're getting this done. All the guys are out testing our 85 grainers that we're working on right now. And right now, me and you're just making sure that we can set all this stuff up consistently and that it's all usable and workable. Expect to see more of these videos. Thanks for coming, bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Cool.